Hey guys, it's Glenn here for Psychic Celluloid Signals, and today we are with Ben of Fright Rags, and we're going to ask him a few questions for our Cinematic 7 series. Question 1. What prompted you to start Fright Rags?
So it was back in 2003, and I was working as a graphic designer, and I've always been a fan of horror movies, and I just wanted to do something. I was bored, basically, is what it was. The job I was at, I was a little bit just feeling creatively stifled, and so I was always on message boards and things. This is way back before Facebook and MySpace even and all that. So I'd be on these message boards with people that made like cool stuff. Like I had a buddy that made Michael Myers masks and Jason masks and Freddy gloves and all these props and things, and I thought, man, that's so cool. I want to get into stuff like that, but I couldn't make those types of things. But I'd always been into like different and weird shirts when I was a kid. I'd always kind of gravitate to like the weird things that were on shirts. And I thought, I never really had any horror t-shirts, and I love horror movies so much, but why don't I wear movies that have Halloween on them or Friday the 13th? And I'd looked them up on the internet, and I couldn't really find anything that I would personally wear. So I just thought, what if I started designing some things that I would wear in my sort of aesthetic or whatever? And I did that. I created a few designs, and I posted them on a message board that my friend owned. He allowed me to post them, and people were like, yeah, I would totally buy that. So I literally just said, well, I need to come up with a name and a website. I made it myself over a weekend and just said, okay, I'm just going to start selling shirts. I spent like $600 in a credit card that I did not have. And I just figured, I'm just going to try this and see if I can sell some shirts. That was literally how it began.
Man. What is your top seller?
I mean, that changes through the years. I think one of our best sellers over the last several years was we worked with the Misfits to do a shirt with their Fiend logo and Jason marks, the triangles from the mask. That sold great. One of our all-time best sellers, although we don't sell it anymore, it's been out of print for a while, is a parody of the Kiss album cover Destroyers. And we called it Kill, Destroyer, and we had Freddy, Jason, Chucky, and Leatherface on it. That was great. And then nowadays I would have to say there's a Halloween shirt that we put out a year ago that has been a constant bestseller for us. Of course, it's Michael Myers. That's always going to sell, but that shirt has been selling great for us.
Cool. Out of all the apparel you've made, which stands out as your favorite?
So that's a hard one, because we've done, since we started, we've done over 700 t-shirt designs. And it's hard to pick just one, because they're like children, it's hard to pick a favorite. I'll say that my new favorite right now, the one that I'm geeking out over, is a Halloween t-shirt we put out just a few weeks ago, actually. And it's based on an old TV Guide ad. So we made it look like it was the world premiere of Halloween, the movie. We had a fake TV logo and showing tonight at 7 p.m. and that type of thing. It's really simple, and it's actually using like stock art from the movie and then just some embellishments. So it's a really simple design. It's one color, it's white, gray on black. The reason why I love it so much is because I saw Halloween when I was 4 on TV. It was the network premiere at the time. I didn't know what the hell that meant, but now I know it was a network premiere in 1981 on Halloween night. It was Halloween, and I saw that. I was like present for that, for that premiere, and that's the movie that really, it just literally just changed my life. I mean, it's odd to say that because I was 4, but it was seriously a pivotal moment that I said, I need more of this. I want this. Halloween is my favorite thing ever. So we've done a lot of Halloween shirts, and that's my favorite movie of all time. But that shirt I just look at, and I get really nostalgic, and I get really like, oh, that's everything. And so that's probably my new favorite shirt.
Cool. Of all the franchises you haven't tackled so far, what would be your dream franchise?
Well, that's a good question. So we've done shirts for Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street in the past, but they were not licensed. We did them on a limited basis. We did it when we were smaller and didn't have as many licenses. We just kind of did it under the radar. That said, we've never actually had the official license to do shirts based on those movies. So we've tried. It's not without trying. I've had meetings with Warner Brothers. We've talked about it. They're just not at a point where they need to sign anybody else. So we're kind of waiting, I guess, if you will. But at the moment, that, like, Friday the 13th, well, and Nightmare on Elm Street, but more so Friday the 13th for me is the one I just want to sink our teeth into, because I know we can apply a really good creative spin to it and do something that you don't see on other shirts that are licensed for Friday the 13th, and be able to do it officially and not be like, oh, we've got a Friday the 13th shirt, just, for 3 days, I don't want to do that anymore, and we haven't been doing that. I've been really blessed to work with, like, the films and properties that I never thought I'd be able to. So, Halloween was always the top of the list when we got that. Even things like Garfield Halloween Adventure, which sounds silly, but to me it just oozes nostalgia, and to be able to work with that company and produce official shirts, to me was like, yes, and Jaws and all these movies that were my favorites, and even stuff that we might not have worked with yet, like Universal Monsters or even Psycho. Like, we have Context Universal, we can do that, and we will be working toward that. But those ones that are, like, just out of our grasp right now, I'm just like, come on, like, give us a chance, So I would say it would have to be Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street.
How has Fright Rags changed / evolved since its incarnation?
Oh, that's another good one. When I started it was, there's the obvious one, which is the art. So when I started it, I was the artist, and very quickly, within the first year or so, I realized that, number one, my ideas were getting further than my talent as an artist, and because I was doing it out of necessity as opposed to because I wanted it to be my art. And my brother even called me out on that. He's like, "Oh, are you gonna hire other people? It should be yours." I'm like, actually, it's like me not printing the T-shirts. I wasn't in the business to print T-shirts. I wasn't even in the business to make and design the T-shirts. I was in the business of selling the T-shirts. So I liked being the ideas person. I liked being the artistic director or creative director, but I didn't necessarily have to be the one putting, ink to paper or paint to, whatever, digitally. I didn't have to be the one doing that. And in fact, I liked having the variety of other artists. Honestly, I see other artists and I'm like, my God, this person is amazing. I want them to do a shirt for us. That to me got me more excited than me saying, I really need to learn how to paint or draw better so I can do this idea, So the biggest change is having just a complete array of artists. With that, our technique of printing has evolved. So in the beginning, even when we did have other artists, I would have to separate all the colors, and if you're familiar with all the screen printing process, each color is a different screen and has to be separated out and all these things. And nowadays we can produce really high-end photographic looks. I mean, that can take up to 12 to 14 colors. And really, it's pushing what the industry can do on a T-shirt. And you don't see a lot of that in stores like Walmart or Target or whatever, because they're doing cheap shirts. They're trying to keep their color count down. That's why you can pay $7 for a T-shirt, But we're really trying to reproduce something really high-end. So that has changed because we've been able to work with artists that I wouldn't have been able to work with before, because we can reproduce their art now. And then lastly, I would say that we've evolved into other products, things like socks and posters and trading cards and masks and all these other sort of collectible and accessories type things. We've sort of expanded. So, and we've even included things like poster art on shirts, which we would have never done back in 2003, 4, 5, or whatever, but people love it, so we try to put a spin on it. So we've sort of expanded. Even though we stayed horror, we've sort of expanded.
Did you ever dream Fright Rags would become the gold standard of horror apparel?
I mean, yes, I dreamed of it, but did I ever think it would happen? I didn't know. I mean, I remember sitting around with a friend of mine in the early days. I mean, I'm talking like 2003, 2004, and they would ask me, like, oh, do you have any sales today? Or we would just be sitting there talking like, wouldn't it be cool if we just got to do this for a living? And back then, the vision looked like we get to watch horror movies all day and sell shirts. It's not really what happens. I get to watch less movies now than I ever have before because I'm working, but I think it's one of those things you always dream about, you wish for, you think about in the shower, you drive to work, you're like, man, I just do this for a living, this would be cool. But you never really know what that looks like or how to get there. You just keep kind of going towards this goal, and then you finally get there and you're like, oh, I get to do this for a living now. So the other end of it is, we can look at ourselves as, the best in horror shorts or anything like that, but to us, we're only as good as the last thing that we did. So, our last release was, our last biggest release was Halloween. It was another Halloween collection that we put out a few weeks ago, and that's great, and we worked hard on it, and we were very proud of those t-shirts. But we can't just sit here and go, yep, alright, we're good. There is no we've made it. There is no okay, we're good now. When I was earlier on in business, I would say if I could just get to this certain amount, I would have quote unquote made it, or I'd be okay. And then I realized soon that that's like this oasis in the desert. Like it's never, you get there and it's not what you think it is. So you have to play a point ahead. So you're never just there or good. You've never made it. So when you say things like gold standard, I appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for the people who think that. But in my mind, it's never good enough. I'm always playing against myself and business and going, yeah, that Halloween collection isn't going to get us anywhere 6 months from now or 8 months from now. We've got to keep pushing forward. So I'm constantly in the future. So yeah, I always dreamed of it, but to me, it's not enough just to dream of it. I have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing,
And lastly, how do you envision the future of horror as a genre?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. We talk about it a lot around here, about where it's going. And of course, if you're online for even 3.5 seconds, you're going to see articles like, horror's dead, or horror's been revived. And it's like all of these clickbaity type things where people pontificate about the genre and where it's going, or it's dead, or whatever. I think it's just changing and evolving like it's always has. I think, you're going to see things kind of branch out more into social media and online where people, I think it's exciting because I think with social media and crowdfunding and all of this information at our fingertips, in some ways it's great because you can see things get made and get viewed. I mean, we did a short film. It was a fan film that we released, a few days ago. It was just for fun. I mean, we're not trying to get any money off it or whatever, but it's already got over 100,000 views on Facebook. That's crazy. Like, that's a 3.5-minute film that 20 years ago, how would you get that scene? How would you get that in front of people? People are on their phones. People are, hell, they're driving and they're on their phones, that's where eyeballs are. And you can get, 100,000 people to watch a 3.5-minute film. That's crazy to me. So I think you're seeing just more creativeness, if you will, creativity, I should say, in those formats, which can lead to people making feature films and things like that. And I do find it interesting because, on the other hand, you have people remaking everything. So you've got a new Halloween movie coming out next year. Not that it's a remake, but it's a sequel, and that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter. It's this, this renaissance of that type of thing. I don't know. Like, I'm actually interested from, obviously, a selfish standpoint, because I think, okay, in 10 years, are we just going to be doing Halloween 50th anniversary shirts? Probably, but I also wonder what's coming out today that a kid like my son's age, who's 8, what's he going to latch onto and want to go to a convention in 10 years to see and meet? And it's hard because I feel like we're all meeting the people that I saw when I was a kid. what are the kids now going to watch? And I hope they watch the movies they grew up watching, because I still think they're good. But what are they holding on to that's coming out today? I don't know. I can't answer that question in that way, because I don't feel like I'm in that mindset, as a kid. I don't know what my kid's going to be like in 10 years, what he's going to latch on to. So, God, you can buy Halloween t-shirts from 20 different places now. You can buy toys, you can buy vinyl, you can buy everything. I mean, certainly it is huge and humongous for the market that it is. I never thought it would get to this point. I never ever thought that. We were all fans, but you never thought there was going to be so much on the market that you could actually buy. So in terms of a consumer standpoint, I don't know. I'd like to see where it's going.
Definitely. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this has been Glenn and Ben for Psychic Celluloid Signals. Josh is behind the camera.
Yep.
And keep it psychic and keep it real.